successful one. Last time, as Chronicle walked down the stairs when he was going backstage after the game, he was like, that was pretty good as far as that Victor watch was concerned. I'm like, yes, it felt pretty good on this side as well. But we're here in game 2, Steve. So let's get into it already. A couple of things banned out on the side. We're not changing your name. We're changing.
No, I'm going to call him Steve. I like that.
Call him Steve.
I'm going to call him Steve.
We're just going to go with Steve. All right.
All game long, we call Vedius Steve.
I kind of like. I'm casting with Kobe and Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it feels good actually. That's brilliant.
Okay,
Right.
the point Steve wants to get across.
Okay.
Is
in the third person.
G2
so cool.
is on the red side. They chose to stay on the red side, which is a little surprising.
Oh, that's a really good point, Steve.
Nice work, Steve.
I'm wondering if they utilized this counter pick more effectively than they were able to in the previous game, because picking the Rek'Sai into Bwipo's Cassante really didn't amount into anything too significant. The volley bear ban, so they've been doing their research. They know that SkewMond, when he wants to be a little bit more active on the map, he will usually go towards this volley bear, so they want to take that away from him. With the Scion and the Orianna ban away, I wonder what is left to take away. Things like this. Maybe they target junglers. Zhao could be a possibility. We've seen be a super high priority jungler this tournament.
Rise is also a big deal
Rise
as well because
one.
you won't be able to take the Aurora away.
You have to be careful. If you pick Rise, Quad is going to slam a Cassiopeia. He's really good at Cassiopeia.
And also, G2 would love it if you slammed a Rise, because they already
get an Anivia.
Yeah. The Nico, though, is going to be banned away, and I like that one. That's also a very high priority pick that will now not be in the hands of Busio, and that actually means that he has to play a third champion, which is very cool. So far, has only played Alistair and the Nico.
Good thing about Busio is that he has such a wide variety of support champions. He has even played a support Azir game, which they self-banned. Yeah, they didn't win it. Don't worry. The look on your face was...
I mean, I've had experience with top lane Azir. Our good friend Dove used to play that one a lot. Support Azir, haven't seen that one. It's kind of cool.
Well, the Rise is open, but as you rightly called, they could wait until third pick, then lock the Rise, then ban out the potential counters to it.
Yeah.
Trundle right now going to be the direction. This is a lot more in the direction of what we traditionally see from SkewMond. And again, just a little bit more self-agency, a little bit more playmaking, a little bit more skirmishing power from what we've been seeing from him, especially in summer.
And I always love it into Xin. You know, you can pillar Xin in bad spots, and you can usually put a lot of pressure on the champion. And a lot of pro players, you know, like that matchup. But we've seen at this tournament, people even pick Xin after Trundle's already been taken, you know, and kind of like soft, you know, people would say counter picking themselves. But just because the value of Xin in these team fights and the ultimate and making a lot of space. But yeah, I'm definitely a Trundle enjoyer on the Trundle side of it, because you can definitely get some good chomp action going.
Yep. The Aurora coming in could be a flex pick theoretically, but likely to be going into Caps' hands. FlyQuest will be able to answer it. We'll have to see what Quad is going to be playing. Whether maybe they lock in a bottom lane, you could actually save your solo lanes until after the next round of bans, but it could be dangerous as you will lose opportunities to pick things.
Would you say that Quad has a common answer, or is it something a little bit more generic, like the Annie is a possibility we've seen a bunch of times into the Aurora as well?
I would say Quad is very straightforward in his champion picks. He has the longer range scale and control mages, and yes, Annie is you know, in the group as well. And so it probably won't be anything too fancy, unless they've been saving it the whole time.
Unless they've been saving it. Rumble going to come through from Bwipo. We talked about how we didn't really expect Rumble to be a super high priority pick in this series, but it looks like that it's already going to come through from FlyQuest.
Yeah,
I wonder if Broken Blade is finally going to show us some of his fun counter picks into the Rumble. He has been playing a lot of Ornn into it throughout the year, so maybe they want to go just for a more straightforward frontline approach, but then they find themselves in the same situation as last game, where they only really have, I guess, 2 damage threats. It depends on how much of a damage threat you consider Trundle to be.
And they could swap the Aurora into it. Aurora into Rumble as well is definitely a good one. But yeah, the Galio, the Ornn, Aurora all picks into it. And so they go, okay, Galio option.
Galio also a triple flex, which is kind of fun. Haven't seen it in sport for years, but it is theoretically playable in that position, so we'll see where they do decide to go. Keeping their options open going to be a big deal, but I love this from FlyQuest just because it's what we used to call sort of a Rise group special, where you press a lot of R buttons together and go in and kill everyone. And it's just about as straightforward as you can get, and it will do what it says on the tin. But now going to be banning away a few things. The Karma ban is kind of intriguing.
I guess they're worried about Ezreal.
Yeah, in a game where it's going to be a really big cluster on the front line, I guess they just want to take away the safe champions for Massu for sure.
Yeah, because I guess they're less worried about Ezreal in isolation, but the pairing alongside.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if they'll continue to pinch that support pool. I mean, what this series has shown me is that G2 clearly respect Busio a ton, given that they prioritized the Bard in Game 1. We're seeing both the Nico and the Karma now banned this time round. FlyQuest want to remove some hook champions. And the thing to remember about Labrov is Thresh and Blitzcrank are very much up his alley. These are the type of champions that he loves to play. When he was on BDS, Rel was like his go-to. There was one split where he played something like 16 Rel games in a row or something ridiculous. So there's always that possibility, even though she's fallen to the wayside a little bit more. With the Braum ban, it definitely suggests that G2 is looking a little bit more engaged on the bot side with the Rift.
Yeah, those ones looking a lot better now. Karma and Braum both banned. They're definitely thinking about that.
All right, see what the final ban is going to be here from FlyQuest. It's probably going to be sticking towards some of these supports, like you were talking about, a lot of engage, but instead, Hansama's Draven not going to be available. They do need a lot of damage from that bottom side of the map, so it does make a fair bit of sense to be taking that one away. And that is a Rakan to be locked in, so a Xayah pick away could be coming on through here. Does also kind of dissuade you from going towards a Kai'Sa, which would kind of work out with this composition if you go the AD route.
Yeah, and we were talking about some of the safe AD carries, but yeah, you mentioned the Kai'Sa as well. You could go the dive option and get in there. Plus, Kai'Sa, like, especially if you have a lot of people on your team that can apply plasma to, then you can use it very safely as well. You don't always have to kind of dive bomb into the back line.
It is certainly pretty face up into the Xayah that's likely going to be picked up for Hansama, but that is going to be a Lucian for Massu. And are we getting fishy in the bottom lane, as Busio could be going towards a Lucian Nami type scenario? The Braum being banned away does mean that it's probably the most common pairing with the Lucian left over.
I think these bans from G2 are actually very good. It kind of limited the bot lane options that FlyQuest do have. I think Busio's going to have to go something a little bit more generic, maybe like Renata. I was expecting more along the lines of Leona, but we'll see what direction he goes.
Okay.
Soraka.
Some bananas.
Common bot lane?
Honestly, I kind of like it though. Soraka heal battery for this team. You know, keeping up the Xin on the front line, making a lot of space. It's a very short range team for FlyQuest. And so to have the sustain of Soraka, as long as Busio can have some good space, I kind of like it for the team.
Well, the Xayah is the most obvious thing ever, so that is just going to be locked in here to round out the G2 composition, but it certainly feels like G2 got exactly what they wanted, and this Soraka is confusing me, but I like it.
So I'm pretty open-minded because Soraka also can poke pretty effectively. So everyone's always focused on the heals, but the lane can have some decent amount of poke, so maybe they can also get a lot of poke damage on Xayah lane, which is something that Xayah usually struggles with sometimes.
And I'm also friends with LS, and he's a huge Soraka fan. So I'm like trying to check my bias here, because I'm normally used to saying, oh wow, what an incredible Soraka angle. But I don't know.
You just default to
yeah, I have to just default to it, because otherwise like, I'm wrong. He's like, I like that, but you're wrong. Or he's like, no, Atlus, you idiot. It's definitely a Soraka angle.
For me, when I think about Soraka, like, there's the old school memes of her being the ambulance, right?
Yep.
But if a champion survives an Aurora burst, like, you're then out. You know what I mean? Like, that champion no longer provides the same value that it did, and Soraka can basically mitigate that whole burst threat immediately. So even if Aurora drops this huge 5-man ulti down on top of you, an ulti in response from Soraka can just nullify that and almost reset the team fight. So I see the value, especially against these burstier champions. The biggest weakness for Soraka has historically been that she is a low mobility support that is easy to catch out. So positioning is super important. And also it does limit Busio's just ability to roam. What I think he's been very good at is bridging that early game gap. I don't know if he can do that on a champion like Soraka.
Or you can roam really fast when your teammates are low health.
Also true.
And you can just be the super speed ambulance. Also, I've got a theoretical combo for you.
Okay.
If you get the Annie flash big stun and layer the silence under it really easily, then it just further extends this really big engage.
I was thinking as well that it could work quite effectively into a Galio when you know that he's going to be coming down in a certain location. You can greet him with a few of those circles that you're capable of putting down. You can see Busio already looking majestic in that bottom lane.
You're a fan of labeling new names for circles. How about a silent circle? Have you done that one before?
The Silurcle is one of my all-time favorites. Oh, that's a beautiful...
It's kind of rare. There are not very many silences in the game.
And if they ever did exist, like the Silorb, which is Malzahar's one that's now gone.
Yeah.
The Sigil of Silence that then became Malice from
Holy
LeBlanc, also
moly.
another one that is taken away. And Cho'Gath has a cone, and I don't want to do it with a cone. I feel like
I was about to make a joke.
We'll
where
stick
I was
with
gonna,
round things.
I was going to get Kobe to talk, and then I was going to silence him.
The
Pretty good.
Silobi.
Oh no! Don't do that. We'll have to leave, I think.
Here's the poke I was talking about, though. So we'll see how effective this is, because Han's already chugging a potion here as Busio landed the first Q and the second.
And when
this isn't balanced at all. Okay.
Yeah, the poke. Soraka, attack Soraka is very powerful.
This is working pretty effectively. Maybe the best thing against all this healing is to keep them at full health so they can't heal.
Boom.
There you go. Counted.
I mean, so
See it every Q?
two
What an
wards,
insane player.
2 wards were thrown bot lane by G2, one from the Galio and then one from Hansama. Both have now been cleared out. And notice as well, Inspired pathing towards the bot side of the map. I wasn't expecting the threat of a dive from a Soraka, but now I'm a little bit more inclined by the idea.
Nice little stun to come through here from Quad as just preparing himself, or trying to prepare himself for having a Soraka move up towards his lane.
Answer's at 5 CS.
I'm liking it. You know, the poke damage from lane versus a Xayah, typical weakness for the champ. Okay, jungles though. So jungles are both clearing down here as we are really focused on this champion. And they should both have pretty good info on each other as well. So you can just surmise the timing will be fairly similar. And there's already the pre-existing Pixel Brush ward for FlyQuest, so they should relent.
Cool, great
soon.
entrance.
Nice
Busio.
silence. So the knockup comes through, the silence immediately drops. That means Hansama can't respond with a Q. So the ability to Q into auto into root was effectively mitigated just by dropping a silence. Well played there by Busio.
Nicely done. Taunt comes through here as well towards this top side as the Galio doing what it's supposed to, winning out in this lane. Is Inspired going to move down towards this bottom side to try and help out. Oh, SkewMond knows exactly what's going on. The Battle of the Crab is going to come on through. And he gets that ward in, so Inspired starting this fight off already. Quad's roaming over at the same time as SkewMond is so incredibly low. Busio gets on in here, heals them up. And they're not going to be able to quite find first blood just yet, but it will mean they get the crab.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
And Inspired jumps in on the fight because he knows SkewMond is queuing the ward. So SkewMond uses Chomp, Inspired goes in.
I like
and
that QMond. That's a good one.
SkewMond. He did get the ward.
Yeah.
QMond's got the ward.
We're just renaming people all over the place on this broadcast. That's what we're doing. And it's really adding to it. It's a yes from me. It's flash out from Bwipo as the pillar was put in the perfect position to make sure that that flash was needed.
The wave now in an awkward spot, but I don't think it's going to matter too much because Broken Blade's passive likely going to push that wave back underneath Bwipo's tower. The bot lane, though, going so well for Massu and Busio. They're getting a little bit of revenge after what happened in Game 1, where Hansama was really bullying Massu out on the Corki. But now with this Soraka, they have all the sustain that they need. They're trying to quickly shove this underneath the tower so that they can go back to bases. Hans is going to come back out with a cull. I feel like Massu's going to come out with a little bit more damage than that.
I would certainly hope so. Lucian with a pretty big buy here. Is worth saying too, you know, maybe this flash down on Bwipo could result in a return play. I mean, Trundle into Galio definitely has the ability to lock him down. So we'll see if it makes it more difficult for Bwipo to play his lane on that top side. Of course, it is top-down clears, and both junglers know the routes of their opponents, so both of them know, yeah, Trundle should be in bottom camps now, so you've got a little time to work with.
And one good thing as well is we don't have to worry about a Soraka with an Ocean Soul, which just sounds awful. That one's going to be the first one. Still ones to worry about are, of course, Mountain and Chemtech, which synergize with her quite nicely as the game goes on.
I will also say that I know coming into this series there were some concerns about this mid lane matchup, and even though Quad did get solo killed in Game 1, his use of the Talia ores were fantastic, and in this laning phase he's really been out trading caps, like sidestepping the skill shots coming out from caps and then trading back in kind, and you can see he's built up a pretty healthy CS lead in the 1v1, about a wave and a half of an advantage. Now he's even on the roam as he sets his sights towards bot lane.
Yeah, well and truly overloading this one. As wards go down, it looks like G2 doesn't have much of an idea of what's happening here, but they are not going to be attacked just yet.
And Quad has gone for the electrocute version of Annie. this time around for the extra burst damage, not the safety of the phase rush. So sometimes you can get into a tight spot when Trundle comes over for pillars. You don't have the phase rush to easily get away from the slow, but it just means you have to have really good usage of your shield speed.
Yeah, that shield speed right there. Being able to avoid some damage, very nicely done by Quad. Honestly, Quad's been playing phenomenally well this series so far. That looks to be continuing as Caps will just comfortably clear out the wave.
He's missing a lot of CS though. Just a couple last hits going wide. And again, like these Qs from Caps just aren't connecting, and Quad just keeps getting these HP advantages, so he's really getting the better of Caps in the 1v1. Inspired, knowing that he has push on the bot side, and the fact that his mid lane is winning out, allows him to secure this dragon. But SkewMond doing what he can elsewhere on the map as he looks to steal away this blue buff. But already off to a strong start from FlyQuest as they have control over bot mid.
Yeah, there's also a minute until the grubs are up as well, so it does give FlyQuest the ability to reset for that one. As the blue buff is taken, Bwipo does get the information that it is gone. As some more fighting here towards the bottom side. The snare is going to come through, but not much of a follow-up here as FlyQuest are looking to relocate this bottom lane, likely towards the top side, and to welcome the grubs.
So next thing that FlyQuest have to look at and be a little bit cognizant of is the big like pincer movement with the double solo lanes from G2. You know, Galio has the ability to walk like halfway up and then use ultimate to close the rest of the distance. So even though Broken Blade and Bwipo both use their teleports, Galio is a little bit different and could turn the tides towards a grub fight. And grubs are arriving fairly soon, so FlyQuest do have to keep that in mind. You know, they have some champions that can get caught out. And so Inspired, at least he is up to his level 6 now on the Xin, so he has the ultimate, the extra safety there. He's going to pull pretty early, and they do see Galio all the way in the bottom on that lane, and nice little chunk.
Ow! Yeah, Caps taken down to about 100 here, as Tibbers is just going to usher him out of the lane. Hansama does have now the help of Labrov, but this should mean that FlyQuest get full control of these grubs, but SkewMond comes on around. Busio is going to face check, but once again, getting a bit of a speed up, and it looks like he's able to make his way back towards Inspired. Teleport comes in as Caps, making his way towards the fight, and the grubs are going to reset.
And Galio is making the roam I was talking about. He's about to mid lane now, so he is within ult range. FlyQuest have to evacuate.
They are going to be able to get themselves out of there. Busio was, I mean, he's so incredibly squishy, right? So if anyone on G2 gets their hands on him, this Soraka is going to go down, as the grubs will go G2's way, and a trade of objectives here to start this one off.
Genuinely impressed that G2 got away with that, because FlyQuest did exactly what they needed to. Quad dropped his burst in mid lane to force Caps to be way too low. And on the top side, they also forced a trade against Hansama, so the AD carries also had a health advantage in favor of FlyQuest. But that TP from Caps really changed the dynamic. TPing into the top river actually allowed him to group faster with his team, and then as Kobe highlighted, the Galio row meant that he could also arrive earlier, and the fact that Bwipo didn't have his TP meant that what was initially a really good setup from FlyQuest, the numbers advantage quickly went the favor of G2.
Yeah, I think Broken Blade, some good Broken Blade diff on the bottom side. He pushed the wave so far. Bwipo probably told his team, sorry guys, you're out of luck. I got to deal with these minions. I need this money. You know, Galio's going to roam up and threaten it. And so the grubs, an interesting price. It ends up being, you know, 1-for-1 on objectives since FlyQuest took the dragon a long time ago. But they would have loved to steal away one grub before that roam timing came in. Yeah. And we even saw Inspired kind of pull it.
Oh, Cullen coming on down here, as a fair bit of poke damage is going to be done, but it's not going to really solidify any sort of big lead or advantage here, as it was only able to get them down to about half.
I've really come to like the NA Lucian over the years. I feel like it's
grown on me too.
Yeah.
We were traumatized for a long time. We had a lot of failures with this champion, but we have had a lot of successes.
Yon was another one I remember.
Well. Yeah.
Ooh, Tibbers playing some defense here for Quad. Meanwhile, towards the top side of the map, some aggression as Massu going down very low. Battle Busio here on the Soraka is just pushing them away. And Massu will be alive for now. Very, very low on mana and health, though, so does need to be a little careful, although Hansama also similar situation.
I didn't quite see from the start, but I think Labrov had Ignite, which makes it so much scarier against the Soraka, just because of the grievous wounds that it does apply. Busio getting dangerously low, but he ends up walking away just fine. Oh, I apologize, Massu is the one that ended up getting very low. The bases will now come through from the bot lane of G2, and we find ourselves with another very even early game.
Yeah, even and not necessarily finding too much action, although I feel like we're fighting more. But there's also a Soraka in the game, so you can fight as much as you like, and then no one dies. That can happen. So I'm going to let them off the hook. Probably still trying to be more aggressive than the last game, but not necessarily working here, as the gold incredibly even. And the next straight going to be up in 30 seconds time. We might get a team fight over that one after what we saw at the Grubs.
Trinity Force completed. The Trinity Force here for SkewMond Trundle is definitely going to be a large threat for Inspired now. For the small window where Inspired's still trying to cobble together.
Oh, I think it is Sundered Sky timing though here for
gonna get it.
Inspired, but can he actually get back out onto the map afterwards? Because 5 seconds until this dragon is up and available.
Okay.
And FlyQuest not quite in position to fight for it with only Busio and Massu in the area.
SkewMond doesn't want to waste any time. He's not even pulling the objective out. He's just going to melt through it. Inspired saying, nah, not worth it. I'm just going to go clear my topside camp. So Drakes are going to be equalized. G2 with a slight advantage in that department. But again, the gold really going the way of FlyQuest pretty much everywhere around the map.
And this is something that from game number 1, there was only one real small hiccup for FlyQuest, and that was the fight around Dragon 3 where Busio got chunked so heavily with the headshot. But FlyQuest clearly, they were like, okay, we call it off, fine, you chunked us, we're not gonna fight this fight. This time around, they're like, you know what, okay, Inspired missed the timing on the first item, you've got Trinity Force Trundle, whatever, we're not gonna fight this fight. Inspired just immediately walks towards topside camps. Bwipo just keeps on pushing, we're just gonna go for gold instead. And so they're fine giving it up the dragon. FlyQuest do not opt into fights if they don't have strong conditions ready.
SkewMond has snuck in here.
Yeah, you don't get to opt into all the fights, though. Sometimes the fights come to you.
Oh, it is happening as Labrov makes his way over. They're looking for the dive. Knockup does come on through as Busio gets the wish out, but there is first blood going over to the Trundle here at 13 minutes. The culling to soften them up, but Massu might even be in trouble himself as G2 do decide to back away.
Yeah, really good Trundle pillar here. And Busio does not want to flash early. So Busio goes down, no flash invested.
I mean, I could understand why he thinks with the heals at his disposal that he would be able to get out of that situation. Massu, though, feels that he's got his jungler at his back, and G2 will respect it. There's Inspired.
Yeah, he's moving up now. I don't think they're going to be able to kill him, but he does at least move G2 away. Stands his ground as Quad. Very far up here in this lane, but the pillar is not quite going to work out there for SkewMond. It was an optimistic one at best.
But I'm really impressed with how much he is outplaying Caps in the 1v1. Now like a 2-3 wave of farm over his lane opposition, a 400 gold lead just simply from farm and the plate that he was able to get. It's like Caps is having a bit of an uncharacteristic series, the man that Europe often leans on when it comes to these high-pressure situations. In Game 1, he was getting caught off a lot in the side lanes, and now in Game 2, falling short in the 1v1 against Quad. Definitely not something I was expecting.
And the thing that's crazy is Annie's even fine if she's behind.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
You always can just drop it there and get an AoE stun, and it's very valuable. This Annie's kind of accelerated. With that Malignance now done, going to be able to drop a lot of bears. And we do now have 12 seconds on the Rift Herald, so we'll see who's going to be able to get set up for that one. Busio here in mid lane for now. Looks like Fly do want to fight for it, but Bwipo's also in trouble. Equalizer goes down, flashes away, and just gets chomped down by SkewMond. That's 2-0 for the Troll. And now without Equalizer and the Rumble, it's going to be hard for Fly to fight for this one.
SkewMond with some active plays. This is a much better look for G2 and for SkewMond. SkewMond makes the gank on bottom side, Vedius, then he makes the gank on top side, and a repeat gank as well.
Yeah, makes another gank towards his top side. Good flash out there as the wish comes through as well, but it's not going to work. It's 3-0 in the kills as G2 lock down those feats of warfare, and FlyQuest, they need to do something about this Troll.
Yeah, the Troll is controlling the game. Where the Troll goes, G2 wins, and now there is a teleport back out for Bwipo. He has been able to wait out his death timer, and so that's going to put a little bit of a pause on things. Quad being down though, and Quad does not have teleport when he gets back up. Still a few seconds left on that one.
Well, Bwipo realizing the return of SkewMond is coming on through, but the rest of his team moving on up at the same time. Audacious charge there from Inspired to try and close the gap momentarily. G2 in position to try and fight for this, but Hansama is a little further away from everyone else. We have a reset now coming on through, but FlyQuest think it's too dangerous. Not going to commit to this, and Shelly just getting bothered over and over again by both teams.
So to go back a little bit, my main criticism of the play from G2 was that I think Caps was just a little too itchy to TP. He had a completely uncontested wave in bot lane. That tower was completely open, and he TP'd top to what felt like an already secured play. I felt like that if they'd immediately converted that into a Rift Herald, it would have been fine, but they didn't. Instead, Broken Blade actually goes back to base. Hansama is a little bit too low on HP, so he also backs off. And now this objective that G2 initially had position on, they're forced to concede it. Now, does it mean a huge amount? Not necessarily, because Dragon's spawning in 30 seconds, and I imagine that's G2's bigger prize. But yeah, now they don't have that TP available for Caps, and he's still on the top side of the map.
Well, Rift Herald is just immediately going to be put down here in this mid lane. That could be first turret. Going on over
Pillar,
to FlyQuest.
pillar.
Yeah, let's see whether it is going to come through, and there it is. SkewMond able to lock that one down as we have the ulti from Caps towards the top side. Bwipo in trouble, but he's just kept alive by the ambulance. And now Quad, an awkward position for him as well, as Caps finds some damage there. Into the backline goes Broken Blade. They're kind of taking it in turns to annoy FlyQuest, and it's working very nicely as G2 keeping these health bars pretty up there. And FlyQuest starting to look a little worse for wear. Caps taking some damage. The Witch comes down yet again. The Equalizer not quite doing that much as Inspired goes in. Looking for Labrov, but he gets himself out. The Crescent Guard comes through as well as Broken Blade comes down from the heavens. Inspired's just looking unkillable on this Sin Zhao, but G2 just won't go down.
Yeah, G2, they all live. Are FlyQuest going to try and rush the objective? I don't think that's possible here. They all get out there in the end. The flash away keeps Caps alive, keeps Labrov alive.
Labrov, his heal on the Q, and now Massu's in danger.
Yeah, there is the Galio in there as well, as Massu does get that flash off. Winds of War not quite doing too much damage here, so he is going to be able to stay alive, but it's a big flash now down on FlyQuest 80 carry.
All right, well, G2's getting scrappy with it. But we look back at this fight, and it's Bwipo that's isolated. Broken Blade and SkewMond see an angle, but this Rumble Ultimate actually does so much damage. SkewMond gets forced incredibly low. Labrov the same. Inspired sees an angle, so he forces the fight. But then this disengage comes through from G2. Hans puts the feathers down. He roots up his opposition. And as FlyQuest is chasing, this little heal that comes through from Labrov, just giving them enough HP to get them to safety. They're forced to back away.
Nice, guys.
But it ends up being a 1-for-0, no objective.
Everyone is full HP, I think, and they burst someone. So any poke we get without dying is so strong for us. It's so good for us.
Yeah, well, not a lot of dying has been happening here in this game as Papa, not looking too happy there. But already up 1-0 in the series. Probably chin up, Papa, you know?
Inspired highlighting how they want to use Soraka, you know? They're like, okay, if they get a little poke or whatever, we need to utilize that extra regeneration.
They don't want a fast fight at all. FlyQuest definitely prefer the kind of war of attrition, especially when they know they'll have the HP advantage.
Yeah.
And it's such a tightrope as well when you're playing with a Soraka, because you're really good into burst that doesn't kill you. But as soon as the burst kills you, Soraka is useless.
Suddenly, she loses value.
Yes. So as Caps gets more and more items, is able to do that big damage. Doesn't necessarily have a huge burst build right now. That could be happening as we get later and later into this game. And especially if it's Busio that immediately dies, the Soraka is going to have no value at all.
Yeah. My main thing is that FlyQuest, well, hold on a second.
Yeah, SkewMond once again making his presence known as in goes Inspired. He is difficult to kill as we do have a lot of damage coming down. Caps finding the angle for the ulti, but look at this! This Soraka is ludicrous! Making sure that he throws band-aids to everyone, and they are all just gonna be okay. FlyQuest now moving on towards this Otacon as Labrov eating some honey fruit, but it looks like they'll be able to use these lower health bars to push them away. And now Bwipo is just burning him down. Might be a little bit of a bridge too far, but it doesn't actually happen. Equalizer is confusing, and I'll leave it at that. But the Otacon down to 50%. Broken Blade teleports in, but isn't going to be able to do too much more because the map is dark and full of terrors and bananas.
Yeah, the Bwipo Rumble is not looking the best, but his teleport down to the bottom side does mean that they're full committing to Otacon, and they do get the Otacon. G2 make them pay for it, though.
I mean, I think the FlyQuest punish was just so good, and as you rightly said, the use of the Soraka there. Like, I don't really understand how Hansama just lost all his HP, but all I could see was FlyQuest was full. Like, they walked into that Otacon feeling very comfy, and G2 do their best across map by securing that mid outer tower, there's still a lot of standing gold for both sides, as we're 21 minutes in and only a single tower has fallen.
This has been such a slow and methodical series for both of these teams. There has been some whoopsies left and right, but it does feel like FlyQuest got the better of that last moment and do get the Otacon for it as we have another engage to come through. G2 may have found Inspired yet again, but this is how the last fight started. Quad comes on over and just drops a bear on them. The Galio will be the answer. The knock-up, he's still alive, but SkewMond will finally get the chomp. And down goes the Zhao eventually. Man, that took everything to make that happen. But now G2 with some control on this map, and you've got FlyQuest down to jungler.
All of this division from G2 in the blue quadrant of the jungle. And we even saw before the play took off, there were FlyQuest question mark pings there. They did kind of expect...
Oh, SkewMond is just going to get flashed on here, tries to flash the wall, misses. And now you've got the Feather Storm needing to be employed. Another cheeky equalizer to come down, but Bwipo not going to be able to follow up on that one. And so the answer does come through, and finally FlyQuest are on the board. They've discovered how to get kills in this game. Could be dangerous here for G2.
That's interesting as well. There is a teleport on Caps ready if they want to answer the bottom side, because Bwipo, after the kill there, flashing onto Rumble, Bwipo can just push out bottom lane. Galio looks like Broken Blade is going to head down there, so not very much time for them to try and take the tower.
I'm trying to understand how Caps went from being like 20 CS down to now 30 CS up. I haven't been tracking what he's been doing throughout the game, but he now has a full level over quad. And I mean, at the very least, Bwipo being able to secure this tower, it's such an interesting game because even though G2 find themselves with about a 2k gold lead, it still feels very close. And I think it's just because... I think it's because every time we see a fight, the Soraka can offer so much value. And as Inspired said, it very much determines, or it's determined by, how quickly G2 can find an initial kill. If they find that initial pick, then it could be very good for them.
No flash on Bwipo.
This might be that initial pick that you were talking about. Outer turret is going to be taken here. Bottom lane to follow suit immediately. The rest of FlyQuest moving on over. They accept the turret, and they just move on. That is going to expand that gold advantage to about 3.2k. And I feel like last game, it was FlyQuest slowly building on their advantage, and this game is G2 slowly building on their advantage.
It does feel that way. I'm still kind of mind blown that Caps now has like a 1k gold lead over Quad. The fact that you could build this up in the side lane, I guess that's what I get for underestimating the EU GOAT. In any case, 35 seconds until the next Dragon. And
I can imagine it was because Quad was too busy doing damage.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of damage, and I expect him to continue to do that. Both these AD carries, I mean, a single ultimate away from both these mid laners to losing a lot of HP.
Massu's also going for Black Cleaver Lucian here as well to remain in the scrap. So FlyQuest's going to have these 4 combat members and then the heal bot on the outside trying to stay out of the Galio ult, trying to stay away from the Rakan as well. G2, they're the ones with the priority on engages because Rakan and Galio is such a good combo in trying to stick on that back line.
See, Bwipo always ready to start fighting back whenever G2 move in, but it's getting a little bit scary as they're moving into the fog of war. Equalizer goes down once again.
That's very
trying to get the poke in there. As soon as FlyQuest do take damage, though,
the damage was very
Busio
little as well.
This is sole point, remember, guys. This is not something that FlyQuest really feel comfortable giving up, but they're not going to be able to move in here into the fog of war to try and deny it. So they're going to have to try and get this middle outer turret instead. Baron just spawning now. FlyQuest moving towards this top side with that mid outer turret falling.
Okay, so only the top tier 1 left for FlyQuest. I imagine that they're going to want to try and secure that one when they can. It's just a decent amount of standing gold. It should be pretty easy to secure. It's a bit risky for Bwipo to go for it now, and quite wisely, he's going to go back to base instead. The risk of a collapse is very real as G2 address some of their side lanes. They're going to have Han Summer go and catch that mid wave so that he can tick over to level 13. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, Caps is mainly just covering Broken Blade, knowing that it's not the safest place to clear that wave, as Massu also very cautious about what he can't see on the map right now. A lot of control wards and just a lot of vision in general in favor of G2 makes it very difficult for him to approach that mid wave.
And G2, they've got, their 3 sources of heal cutting with the double Bramble Vest on both SkewMond and Labrov, as well as the orb on Broken Blade. So everybody with the possibilities here of cutting down on that Soraka sustain. I want to see what FlyQuest can actually do about the Trundle, though, because SkewMond actually had such a good kind of mid-game that it did result in this Trundle being really hard to take down now. And Trundle kind of thrives in these scrappy fights.
Well, he's going to have to try and book it over here. It is Broken Blade with a lot of CC, keeping Bwipo busy. Equalizer goes down. The Wish comes in, but he just dies before FlyQuest could get in there. Still, they're going to look for the fight, though. Crescent Guard comes down. Labrov just explodes in an instant as the taunt is fantastic. The flash out from Inspire, but he still dies. Not enough in the tank here for Busio. And G2 finding the advantage here. Redemption comes down. They've got healing of their own. It moves to a 3,000 gold lead, and they might have Baron on the mind as they push this lane in.
G2 see Rumble with no flash, and they jump on Bwipo again.
Bwipo's flash just came up as well, but unfortunately too little too late. And now G2 know they have the numbers advantage. There's no smite available for FlyQuest. With Annie around, they might try and contest this still. Massu in the area. Let's see what Pokey can get down.
It is a pretty early Baron, but it's going down very, very quickly. A teleport is available here as soon as this Rumble does spawn, and he's teleporting in now, but the Baron is going to go down. Quad immediately explodes as Bwipo cannot get anything done. Flash over the wall there from Busio as Bwipo decides he wants to go aggressive. I'm not sure about that one, but Massu tries to get the kill on SkewMond, and it doesn't quite work. All of these Barons still up and available, and the Justice Punch to bring Broken Blade forward. He will find his mark as Busio's still alive and getting this healing down, but the problem is they're not doing enough damage to G2, and they're just going to back up. The culling is working as intended, but unfortunately, it's just a little too late.
The Soraka healing is just way too monstrous. It feels like G2 find a pick, but then can't convert it into a kill. They still get themselves the Baron, though. That was the objective that they wanted, and they ballooned the gold lead to 5.7k.
And they re-killed that Rumble again. And the Rumble did flash in this time. So here's the original pick. They find Bwipo again. Broken Blade immediately onto him, locks him up long enough for the rest of the team to come. Caps teleports over, and they burst him down despite the Soraka trying to heal, trying to keep him alive. So FlyQuest then still try and fight it out. They burst down Labrov, but this kill, as Inspired flashes over, still going down to the last bit of damage there from Hansama was huge.
It absolutely was, and as they made their way towards the Baron, it looked a little sketchy. I saw Massu near the pit, but he didn't really have much threat in that situation given the HP of SkewMond. And once the taunt came down onto Quad, it became an easy cleanup affair. I'm not quite sure what Bwipo's plan was in this situation. Maybe he thought that he could catch someone off guard, but he's not able to do it. He loses his life and he loses the flash. Massu, if Soraka wasn't in the game, this Lucian would have fallen. But just look at the healing coming through. Busio doing exactly what he needs to keep his AD carry alive.
I can hear the Soraka hate in your voice.
Oh, yeah.
Not quite able to get it. But still, I think that means G2 are going to have control of the entire map right now. This fight just blew it wide open. They've got Baron buff. They got a bunch of extra kills off it, too.
Okay, well, we're looking for a bit more of a fight here as the heroic entrance comes down. Quad takes a large chunk. FlyQuest still in it, though, as we can see. Massu is going so aggressive. I don't know whether it's a good idea, as there is the ulti out from Caps to get so much AoE damage, but Massu still alive. The ambulance is working, but SkewMond finally gets the jump down. And there goes the AD carry. G2 are a freight train. They'll break the inner turret, and they'll probably get more because they've got Baron, and they're looking at a game number 3.
G2 will finally get a bit of revenge against FlyQuest as they finally get a big... Wow, I suppose they'll get a big inhibitor.
They did get a big inhibitor push. It's still good. It's still big.
Back away, they can get themselves the Infernal Soul, but this is definitely their game to lose as they look to bring us to Game 3.
It certainly is Game 2, Steve.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's his name going to be in Game 3?
It's Game 3 Gary, and I hope you guys are ready.
If I knew it was Game 3 Gary before, I'd be so G2 biased in this game. Oh my god, I'm really glad you saved that until now, as the priceless moment of the game does come on through. Infernal Soul for G2. A Rebel Baron power play putting them at about 8.7k in the lead. And FlyQuest trying to get back out onto the map. You can see Inspired just wanting to keep this fight going, but Between Worlds comes out from Caps, and he's now on a rampage against Quad. And Massu feels like he just came out of the death chamber, but immediately they're looking to try and put him back in there as this siege, Baron or no Baron, G2 will be able to take down another inhibitor turret. And with Infernal Soul, I think they'll have the damage to burst down FlyQuest now. The culling comes through, but SkewMond says what? As he just takes most of it. Equalizer in as well as they look for Bwipo, but he does go gold and the quickness comes on through. The charm is fantastic. They try and keep him alive, but it does not work. It's a bit of a trade though, as this Rakan is going to be taken down, but man, these wallets, they are so heavy from G2. First Nexus turret to be taken down. Massu going to be next to be taken on this fountain, and G2 showing them that even though they did get swept at MSI, Hero World's going to be a different story.
And I think it's just such a big difference for SkewMond game 1 to game 2. Having the Trundle gave him so much more agency. He was having so much more impact on the map as well. And G2 successfully bring us to game 3.
And this is exactly what we wanted. Now, Analyst Desk, who's going to win the third one?
Do you think I'm gonna tell you immediately? We're gonna make you work for it. We gotta run through game 2 second, but it is 3 games here for us in this epic EU versus NA battle, and I got